Hi, my name is Felix, and I live in Barcelona at the moment, and I'm working as a developer relations director for Wildlife, which is one of the biggest mobile game companies in the world. And probably the more interesting part compared to other people in developer relations is I'm internal developer relations. There's some of us around, but not that many people who do DevRel, but only inside one company. So we, as a company, have a big tech stack with a lot of different technologies. And we have a lot of teams internally, like our teams internally building our video games who use our technology. And similar to when you have a customer facing solution, we help our teams to use our technology and be as most efficient and effective as possible. So it's partly similar to a normal developer relations role because we still do community building, documentation, and training. But the part that goes away is we don't have to sell. We are not talking to customers. We're talking to coworkers, which makes, at least for me, part of the job a bit more relaxed or, let's say, different. Before DevRel, I was working in enterprise support for Unity, which is a game engine. And there it was already DevRel adjacent, I would say, because I was going to customers of Unity, helping them use the technology Unity was producing and providing support to them. So it's not traditional DevRel, but it was already adjacent. It was, I think, partially coincidence, partially it has always been my way. So I applied for a different position in Unity. And during the interview process, they told me, hey, we think this role might be a better fit. I listened to what the new role would be, and it was definitely a better fit. So I agreed to it. And why I think it has been like always kind of my career, even when I was in university, I was interested more in talking and teaching technology to other people than actually programming. So at university, I run a first year programming class to get people started in the computer science studies. I published a book and I like to read and talk about technology. So I didn't know about DevRel, but I always was interested in what DevRel does. I probably would say what I knew about DevRel, I thought was more about doing presentations at conferences and less the most of the part, which is understanding technology, collecting knowledge, condensing knowledge, and then sharing it with other people, which of course can be part of a presentation. But I didn't know how much writing and research goes in the back end. Every DevRel position is slightly different. For me, what turned out to be right is that you have to be a very technical person to be in DevRel. It's not something which you can know a bit about technology and then you become DevRel because you don't want to be a programmer. It's like you have to be a programmer, you have to be a developer, and then you might be able to get into DevRel because in its core, it's a very technical position. As I said, it was a coincidence when I got into the role, and then I started getting interested in what am I actually doing, how is the role called that I'm doing, and then I did some research, and there's some really good communities and newsletters and websites out there where you can read about it and learn more about DevRel. I would say the biggest influence was the developer relation collective. This is like a Slack community with a lot of people. And there you have the opportunity to talk to people who do the same job you're doing, but maybe in a different company with a bit of different twist. And you can exchange knowledge. And we have like regular video calls just to exchange what's going on and support each other. And that has been a really big help. And then there's also a developer advocate newsletter that I really like to read, which just collects blog posts and videos and conference talks from all over the world. I think as a lot of programmers, when I started the career, I was not that comfortable presenting, especially as a non-English native speaker. So it's like you don't know really how to present and you might not be very comfortable in the language. One thing I did there was join Toastmasters, which is a public speaking organization worldwide, which forces you to deliver speeches every few weeks, which is a really good practice to become a better public speaker. And there, what I found out works really well to stand out in the developer relation field. As I said before, you have to be technically very good to be a developer relations person. So Oh, I always made sure that even though most of my time now is spent working on developer relations, I always reserve some hours every week to still program and keep up with the skills. And then especially in the game industry, the developer relation community is even smaller. So having developer experience and game development experience really helps me also from a credibility standpoint. If I go to a game developer to talk about technology, it's good that they know that I actually know what I'm talking about because I've done it before myself. I'm not just trying to sell a product. I actually have done it and I know what I say. In most companies, I would say they're not that different to a normal developer role. So you have, let's say, 3 to maybe 5 or 6 interviews, depending on the company. Normally, one could be a bit more technical. But traditionally, I would say for developer relations role, they quite often companies skip the technical interview part where you get like a homework you have to take at home and solve. But instead, what they'd like to give you is a presentation. So I was told this is a topic, think about it, and then please give a 10 to 15-minute presentation during the interview. And then we talk about the presentation instead of this is a take-home programming assignment you have to solve. But otherwise, I would say it's normally the same. You have 1 or 2 skill interviews and then between 2 and 4 company fit interviews where they see if you fit into the company culture. A bit, I would say. It has changed in the sense it is a lot more complex and a lot wider than I anticipated. And especially by joining the different communities, you see what developer relations people do, not just you, but all over the industry. Because some people are focusing more on the conference organization and meetups. Others focus almost exclusively on documentation and training and then everything in between. So it's nice to see how broad the field is, which I didn't realize before I joined. I've been always in an engineering department, which I think for most developer relation programs is a right place to be in, because as I said, it's a very engineering heavy discipline. So being in the engineering department helps firstly to ensure that you have a manager and a director who knows your problems, but it also means you're closer to the people you have to talk most to. At least in my life, I spend most of my time communicating with our engineers. So being in the same department helps with communication and also maybe allows me to influence some of the decisions a bit more because we are the same department. I would say first research what kind of developer relation jobs you want, because as I said, there's like a wide area of different jobs. And then make sure that technology wise, you're really solid. So if you want to become a developer relations person, let's say in game development, make sure that you've developed several games, that you can show that you can do the developer job. At least from my experience, developers don't like to talk to people trying to sell them things without knowing what they're talking about. So having this foundation helps a lot. And it also helps you if for whatever reason one day you don't want to be in developer relations anymore because it's too much travel and you have a family or you want to focus on one problem at a time. Having this developer skills mean you can become a, in quotes, normal developer and still find a good job and you're not fixated on just developer relations. Thank you.